Hello, sir. This is me, JIVARSHENEE, SINNIAH, BPSY 22035116 from Advanced Topics class. So today I'm going to talk about forensic psychology. Uh, these are the contents of my presentation. So I'm going to talk about what is forensic psychology, what do they do, their job roles, and then some of the fear of crime theories. So first of all, I'm going to talk about what is forensic psychology. So forensic psychology is a field that combines the practice of psychology and the law by utilizing psychological expertise within the justice system. Forensic psychology may encompass evaluating competency to stand trial, making sentencing recommendations, offering expert testimony, performing child custody evaluations, participating in jury selection, and providing psychotherapy to criminal offenders. The American Board of Forensic Psychology describes this field as the application of psychology to issues that involve the law and legal system. Whilst forensic psychology is considered a rather new specialty area within psychology, the field dates back to the earliest days in psychology's history. Philosophers and scientists have long sought to understand what makes people commit crimes, behave aggressively, or engage in antisocial behaviors. And secondly, I'm going to talk about what do they do. So what are the common job roles of forensic psychology? So some of the functions typically performed within forensic psychology includes competency evaluation, sentencing recommendations, evaluation of the risk of reoffending, testimony as an expert witness, child custody evaluation, academic research on criminality, consult with law enforcement, treatment of criminal offenders, provide psychological services to inmates and offenders, trial consultants who help with jury selection, witness preparation or legal strategies, and lastly, design correctional programs. Now I'm going to talk about fear of crime theories. Firstly, I'm going to talk about cultivation theory. Okay, the cultivation theory was proposed by George Gerbner. It is one of the core theories of media effects. According to the theory, people who watch television frequently are more likely to be influenced by the messages from the world of television. The influence goes to such an extent that their worldview and perceptions start reflecting what they repeatedly see and hear on televisions. Television is therefore considered to contribute independently to the way people perceive social reality. Television offers a plethora of ideas and conceptions on a variety of social and cultural dynamics like race, gender, sexuality, and over a period of time, a fixed image of various groups of people is formed, and viewers start to absorb these ideas, which they then use as a map to navigate through life. This constant exposure to the media content cultivates specific values, beliefs, attitudes, and desires in people. These newly preconceived notions shape their perception of the world, and they ultimately influence how others perceive them. The cultivation theory has been widely used in the study of violence in television. The theory has been used to explain how children who watch violent cartoons become violent themselves. Repeated exposure to violence on television reinforces existing beliefs that the world is dangerous and unsafe place. Exposure to television further strengthens the position that acts of violence are a natural response to situation of conflict. Our second theory is availability heuristic theory. The availability heuristic is a cognitive bias in which we make a decision based on an example, information, or recent experience that is readily available for us. Like even though that it may not be the best example to inform our decisions. In other words, like information that is more easily brought to our mind is assumed to reflect more frequent and more probable events. It is often the case that more frequent events are indeed more easily recalled than less frequent events, and so this mental manipulation regularly leads to rapid and accurate judgments in a range of real world scenarios. However, the availability bias is also prone to predictable errors in certain situations and thus is not always a reliable shortcut for decision making. The availability bias, in which the prevalence and likelihood of an event are estimated by the ease with which relevant examples can be recalled, is one such mental shortcut. For example, it is common for people to overestimate the risk of certain events such as plane crashes, shark attacks, and terrorist attacks, while underestimating the risk of others such as car crashes and cancer. And lastly, I'm going to talk about cognitive theory. Cognitive theory is a public perception of the likelihood of falling victim, public senses of control over the possibility, and public estimations of the seriousness of the consequences of crime. So there's two elements of cognitive theory. The first one is subjective victimization, the subjective belief about the likelihood or risk of being victimized in a crime event, and the second one is perceived negative impact, the belief about the seriousness of the consequences of experiencing those events. So the current issue that made me choose forensic psychology as my topic was the news of an 8-year-old migrant girl had 67 DNA samples inside her. Like, former Republican congressional candidate Jeff Zink said recently that he and a crew encountered an illegal alien girl only 8 years old who turned out to have DNA traces of 67 other people inside her. So this issue stems from a video interview with Arizona congressional candidate Jeff Zink on the Tina Peters show, which aired on April 17, 2023. There, Zink tells of meeting a young girl while he and others were visiting the Arizona border near the city of Douglas in 2021. He met Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE) and Border Patrol officers who were driving away a group of migrants, including an 8-year-old girl. Officers allegedly told him 2 men in the group had been executed by cartel of Mexican coyotes or smugglers who had fled. Zink also said he evaluated the little girl, who at that time could not speak. After examining the doctors, they later informed that the 8-year-old girl had 67 different DNA samples in her. He also said that when the doctor who examined the girl personally called Zink and told him that she had 67 different DNA samples in her. According to him, the reason why the girl could not speak was because she had been screaming and crying for days or even weeks, because from the statement of the doctors, the girl is raped minimum 67 times, and the DNA were not repeated. It's like a different person, and they didn't did anything more than one. So it means like 67% raped that 8-year-old girl. This news made me choose forensic psychology as my topic because this news raises the question about the psychological impact of sexual assault on children. Sexual assault can have a profound and lasting impact on children, including physical and emotional trauma, PTSD, and difficulty trusting others. In this case, the girl is likely to experience significant psychological trauma as a result of the assault. And also, this news highlights the importance of forensic psychology in the criminal justice system. Forensic psychologists can provide expert testimony on a variety of topics related to crime, including interpretation of DNA evidence, the psychological impact of crime, and the risk of reoffending. In this case, forensic psychologists could provide valuable assistance to the police and the prosecution in their investigation and prosecution of the case. That's all from me. Thank you, sir.